like to bring to order Austintown Township meeting for January 24th, 2022. Can you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Yes. Got a full house, nice. All right, so I'll introduce everybody here. It's Jessica from our senior center, filling in for Jim Henshaw. Todd Schaefer is our park supervisor. Dave Schercher is our assistant chief for fire department. He's here. Chief Bob Cavalier's here. Darren Cavelli is our zoning inspector. Mike Dockery is our administrator / road superintendent. The wonderful Laura Wolf is our fiscal officer. To my right is Monica Devers, trustee. To my left is Robert Santos, trustee, and I am Steve Kent, trustee. So motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, reorganization meeting of January 10th, 2022 for special meeting of January 18th, 2022.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Santos?
Yes.
Mrs. Devers? Yes.
Okay. I'm sure this is a good friend of mine, actually. Troy Rhodes from Regional External Affairs First Energy Corporation is here. He's going to talk. Come on up.
Hi, thanks very much.
Just state your name, Troy.
Yeah, Troy Rhodes, 539 Greenmont, Canfield, Ohio. Truly the reason I'm here is to welcome the two new trustees to the township.
Thank you.
Give you a little bit of background on what my role is to support Austintown Township and the trustees that are in position, and also the other departments that are out here. My role is for any issues that you may have with Ohio or First Energy as it relates to the utility itself. So obviously the storms that we've had over the last weekend and previous or future storms, if you have any questions as they relate to those storms, I'd be your point of contact. If you have any issues relating to street lights, anything, whether they're out, whether you want new ones, those types of things, obviously working through the township administrator as far as facilitating that process. But that's it. I'm the conduit from the township to the trustees on any types of issues that you might have. Forestry concerns. I know a couple of issues that we've had in the past working with the trustees that some of the community had looked at putting sign or veterans flags and veteran signage on our utility poles, working through those types of processes like that. I received an email note today from Mr. Dockery regarding the outages that occurred in Austintown Saturday morning and yesterday afternoon. Obviously, the terrible coincidence of both of them impacted the same residents. The one that occurred Saturday morning was at the Wycliffe substation. We've got a mobile sub out there that tripped and failed, and that's what caused that early morning outage Saturday morning. Yesterday evening, it was a carpool accident that hit the same two circuits that impacted the same residents. So if you're a lottery person, you may want to play circuit 331 and 316, I think, were the two numbers. If you want any luck at that. Yeah, exactly, write those down, right? Or never play those numbers, because the coincidence of it happening again, who knows? But dealing with that, obviously today, I may have to leave right after this because we're having outages downtown Youngstown that have just been a nightmare there because it's underground services. But my role is here to support you. I live over in Canfield. If you have any questions or concerns, I just handed out my business cards to you. If you have any questions, please give me a call. Notes. This is all new and it's coming at you at a million miles an hour. But Steve and I go back a little bit, and he's got a long time in that chair there, so he should be able to help you out that extra year or 2 years that he's got there. But that's what I'm here to do. So if you have any questions for me,
would you mind leaving another business card with Lori?
I sure can. I sure will.
I appreciate the quickness, honestly, you guys had. Yesterday, I was told that the accident wasn't even cleared up yet, and you guys were already up on that pole fixing it.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part is in those elements, you know, sometimes like the outage that occurred downtown Youngstown that happened at 11 o'clock last night, we had 80 customers that were without power, so we have to bring crews in, obviously, right? Well, they work through the night, but they have a work, rest, sleep cycle that they need to get through too. Unfortunately, we had to take a forced planned outage at 1:30 this afternoon that impacted not only those, but some other people that had power, but we had to cut theirs just so we could repair that. We didn't get them all. We still got 10 customers that still are out, and they're going out in about 10 minutes, and they're going to be out for about 40 minutes to try to get those people back, or those businesses back online. But I appreciate that. In elements like yesterday, they're making their money when they're out there. And, you know, we appreciate people out there. What's always a concern, and we look to the residents and obviously our first responders out there, whenever there's storms or long duration of outages, we always tend to go to the utility trucks to see what's going on. And I just ask that you give them their space because of what they're dealing with out there and the distractions that they could be occurring while they're up there working with that power and everything like that. So that's an important thing. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mike? Mr. Ridley?
Well, as you know, the road department, of course, has been busy this past week. We probably had about 15 hours of overtime between Monday and Tuesday. And of course, for the rest of the week, we continue to work on, you know, trying to clear the roads, fixing mailboxes, a lot of them just temporary because of the big piles of snow in front of them. Of course, we were out Sunday, I guess, for another 10 hours. And of course, today we're still trying to get the roads
They just pulled
cleared. Yeah.
Today's a tough day. It just come down and then stop and then come down again, and it's hard to keep up.
Yeah. If you look at our roads and the county roads, they both have the same problem. Just trying to keep up.
That was
Excuse me, let's talk to him.
Got here?
No, he had to go to another board meeting. He was hoping to
He was
see you
hoping to
guys.
talk with
okay.
us, but we didn't get a chance to.
Gotcha. All right. Dave, welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, before you go off, can you give a breakdown, or if you already have it, just tell me I got it already, about if we have a power outage, what do we do, where do we go? How long is the power got to be out for us to advance into that emergency?
So our plan is ultimately, if it's gonna be it would have to be a very, very, very long outage. But the senior center is now equipped with a generator. We can use that as a warming center. But, you know, it's always good for residents to keep in mind that as long as they keep their doors closed, windows closed, if they have drafty doors, put towels at the bottom, maybe hang blankets up on top of the curtains to insulate more, try to preserve some of the heat in the home. And always keep in mind that, you know, if you're gonna use alternative heat, make sure it's suitable for indoor, so you're not getting into those carbon monoxide things and whatnot. Also, anytime you use any kind of candles or open flames and you have little ones around them, even if they're educated, they're still tempted to play. So you gotta be careful with that. Just common sense stuff. You know, I think your homes are gonna hold heat for hours before you get into a dangerous situation. You know, you're gonna wanna wear layers of clothes and get blankets out and stuff like that, but.
The question was, because
Yeah.
I mean, since I've been here, we had little bursts of power outages, but 2 in a couple days, and they were a couple hours, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, these 3 and 4 hour ones aren't real bad. You know, like you get into the ones that turn into 24, 36 hour or more situations, I think then that's when you're gonna be looking at some troubles with the
Yeah,
frigid
we ran into
temperatures.
a couple this past summer. Berlin had one, it almost was 48 hours out that way. One of my rules is also to work with EMAs, right? So I keep them posted as far as what outages are occurring, duration of those outages that go. And as you know, as a resident, we ask that you all report. Just because your neighbors are out or it's dark over there, that doesn't mean that theirs is out. They may just not be home. So make sure you report that. Well, if you report that, you can receive text messages that gives you sort of an updates on when your potential one. we also let the EMAs know what those estimated times. And if it turns into, we start reaching hour 8, hour 12, and if we're dealing with inclement weather, you know, if it's, you know, that perfect San Diego day, you may not receive that call. But today, or in that 95-degree weather, where warming shelters or cooling locations are required, we're working with those local EMAs to let those townships or communities that are impacted, let them know what kind of duration we're looking at and how it will fall.
Another quick question, how would we get that out to the Austintown residents?
As far as the warming
Yeah.
shelter or cooling shelter. So I would say probably social media, and or if people have a situation to where they think they really need that, they can call the non-emergency line to dispatch, and then we can get it opened up, you know, in a dire strait. Another thing too that crossed my mind earlier, I was thinking about this, I have to do a thing tomorrow with WKDN on the same thing. So if you lose power, you know, kind of check your house, make sure it's not just your house.
Right.
You know, make sure your neighbors don't have power either, because you might think the power's out in the area and you're waiting for it to come back on, and if it's maybe something that happened to your own house, you'll be waiting too long, so.
Very true, very true. All right, what else you got for us?
I just had some numbers for 2021, kind of a call breakdown. So we had 115 fires, 268 fire alarms, 205 rescues, 127 hazardous conditions, 3,484 EMS calls, 218 calls of service, and 478 calls that were good intent and or miscellaneous type. That was a total of 4,895 calls for 2021. And that's an average of about 13.4 a day. And we get 38% of our calls overlap. So when one call's going on, another one comes in 38% of the time.
Wow. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming.
That's all I got.
That's all you got?
Yep.
All right. Jared?
I have nothing.
Come on.
It's too cold to go out there and pick on people.
This gotta be the first time ever.
You can't really expect anybody to do anything in this level, so you gotta back off. I do have a heart.
We just met with the owner operator for Chick-fil-A. You wanna break it down a little bit and give a little?
They're looking at a late March opening. The job is progressing. In construction right now, you know, home building, commercial, you have to worry about supplies, materials, and I think they're a little bit worried about getting the HVAC, you mentioned that. But the operator is from Austintown, and he lives on North Campbell, North Turnbull Road. So he's a local kid. What is he, like 33? Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he's been with Chick-fil-A when he started when he was 15.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, the site is going. Obviously, there's been some inquiries about the layout of the site. One of the things that Chick-fil-A was most concerned with when they first approached us, and that was before COVID. So I remember having one sit-down meeting with the project engineer who was from Athens, GPD Associates. They're throughout the state. They have an office in Athens. One of their main concerns was traffic flow into the site, and they felt comfortable that that site would generate a lot of traffic, and they created a drive-through lane, which is basically 2 lanes, and it will actually have an escape route. So once you have a lot of stacking, and what that stacking ratio is, I don't know. They come out with their handhelds, and they take your order, and most likely they'll get you your order before you ever get to the actual menu board. So they want to get people in and out, but the drive-through lane holds, I think, 48 cars. It's a 2-lane drive-through. Then you can stack another 20 or 30 as you come into the site. But because of the way that they designed that drive-through, as people are asking me, why is the back of the building in the front of the building in the back. That's just the way they designed it to maximize their stacking. I've talked with the construction field superintendent, and there's going to be a complete landscape plan implemented there. And this guy has made his career out of building Chick-fil-A's, and he said once it's done, it's going to look nice. And they're going to try to enhance the back there. And it's strange because people really wanted a Chick-fil-A. Now it's like, why is it backwards? But when you, and it meets zoning, the stormwater management in there, they actually did stormwater management for 2 buildings because there's going to be buildings to the east of the Chick-fil-A. But anyways, when you drive Mahoney Avenue, we don't realize it because we see it every day. There is a building with the back of it facing Mahoney Avenue. That's right at the lake when you go to Walmart. Just look to the north and you see the back of that plaza building. The old Mike's Lounge,
Yeah.
which that building is actually, the back of that's facing Mahoney Avenue. The front of it's in the back. And it's a corporate design. That's what Chick-fil-A decided was best for them. And my guess, and then talking to them, it's all based on the stacking of that drive-through and what they anticipate for Austintown. Something unique is that those first conversations I had, they wanted to know what the status of Myers was. Because Myers is going to put a traffic light there. And beyond telling them what I already know, what we've already approved, I couldn't give them any definitive answers on Myers. But I did contact the engineer who did the Myers project, the preliminary one thus far, and asked if she would talk to the engineer from GPD Associates, and they talked. And what the result of those discussions are, I don't know. It's frankly none of my business. But obviously, Chick-fil-A felt comfortable that Myers was coming and that there would be a light there. I did have a discussion with the field superintendent a couple weeks ago for the Chick-fil-A, and he's in agreement they should just put a light there. But it's kind of been an interesting process, but as I would ask people who have concerns about, boy, the back of that building's in the front, just hold judgment, let's let them finish it, let's let them landscape it this spring. And like I said, who am I to question the corporate directive of, or corporate engineering of Chick-fil-A? It meets the zoning. There's no zoning issues there. We actually had a zone change, and we did give them some relief on parking. And we saw the site, and it's unique. And we're going to get another project, a much smaller project in front of the Giant Eagle, and that's going to be 1,000 square foot Starbucks. And that's going to be pretty much a drive-through facility, but the building's going to be in sideways where you're going to come around parallel with Mahoney Avenue to pick up your product. And it's a nice looking building, but these drive-through lanes, when you get into these restaurants, and I don't work for these restaurants, but I talk to them all. The Dunkin' Donuts, the Taco Bells, probably Chick-fil-A. I'm willing to guess that 80–85% of their business is in the drive-through. It's not sit down, and that's where they make their revenue. And they design these sites to accommodate the drive-through. That's just the way it is. And they do like this community. At first, in my original conversations, they weren't sure. They weren't sure. They wanted to make sure Myers was coming. But I think the more they got to know the community, probably having a local guy. Because I tell you what, people would call me over the last 10 years. They call the office for a shed or a fence. And, you talk to the residents, and in the end, before they hang up, the one question was, oh, how come we can't get a Chick-fil-A? Or is Chick-fil-A coming? And they should have been here 10 years ago. But anyways, the site is progressing. And I think when it's done, it'll be impressive. And if not, then you can all blame me.
They did say they're going to put a canopy on them.
Oh, yeah. The elevation shows the front and back. There's canopies that are going to go on it.
On the front, so that...
Yeah, on the front, Mahoney Avenue side, we'll have a canopy over the door. And they're looking at doing some decorative things. And then there's also going to be wall signage. There'll be a pylon sign, but there'll be signage on the front. And, I think they're aware that, that is Mahoney Avenue. you know, they've assured us that once the facility's done, and we're gonna have to wait till the spring for the weather to get the landscaping and stuff, it'll look like a pretty nice project.
All right, thank you. Todd? How are you doing?
Good. All I've got is, I'll let you know, Sunday, February 13th at the Stacy Pavilion, from 11 to 2 will be our next monthly farmers market.
Okay.
That's basically all I have this week.
Hey, we appreciate you guys too, all of you, for going out and, Park Department, we called the Park Department out last Tuesday, and, they went out and did the cul-de-sacs and salted along with our road department, so, help us out clearing the roadways for our residents. I appreciate it. Senior Center. We got,
I would like to, first off, thank the Parks Department for cleaning our driveways so the seniors can actually park in parking spots. We appreciate that. Our sewing group is making breast cancer mastectomy pillows that go underneath their arm for people that have to have mastectomies. And they have been making those now for a couple of weeks, but they're in need of polyfill and material to actually make the pillows. So if anybody has any donations they would like to give, it would be greatly appreciated. And they're going to be donating those to the Joni Avenue Center. It's going to be a really big project. They're all excited about it, but it's going to take a lot of polyfill. I think we've already ordered like 2 giant boxes, and we probably will still need more. Aarp Taxes are returning to the center. They're going to be here Wednesdays in February and March. It is appointment only, and the number you're going to have to call is 330-406-9986. They are starting to take appointments for that. And the Board of Health is done using our center as a vaccine clinic in January. So we will be back to being open on Fridays starting February 4th.
great.
And they really thanked us for letting them use our facility.
If somebody wants to donate this polyfill or donate money to help you rate or buy the polyfill, how do they contact you?
Just get a hold of the senior center, Linda at the front line.
Is there a certain kind of polyfill they use, certain brands, certain kind, and how much is a box of it? Do you have any
I
idea?
know they said it was $100 for 2 boxes, so it's probably about $50 for a box, and the box was like.
And how many do they make if they get 1 box of that? Do you have any idea?
Probably a couple dozen at least.
Okay. Just curious.
I'm not a sewer.
Yeah, I was just curious to see how much a box was, so if someone donates, at least we know, okay, that would be how many of them.
Yeah, and they've done the project in the past, and I know they donated a lot, and Jody actually went through it real quick, so.
It's a great cost.
Yeah.
They're excited to have it back.
Awesome. Thank you.
I am just still working on closing out the year. Got some reports, but I don't have anything final for 2021 yet.
Motion to approve December report submitted to the board at the January 10th meeting, 2022. Fund status, revenue status, and appropriation status.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Stanhope?
Yes.
Mrs. Hubert?
Yes.
Yes. We have no new business today. At this time of the meeting, we have public response. We can do on camera or off camera. If somebody wants to come on camera, since he's got it rolling, please come up, state your name, address.
Good evening, folks. Steve Terlecki, 5600 Siding Mill Crossing. I'm speaking for about 6 houses. Second time in 8 years, we had the sewers back up in the basement. A number of the houses had some real damage concerning thousands of dollars because they had the whole basement taken care of. I noticed it Saturday, or am I thinking Friday? One of the 2 days, Friday. I saw the Mahoney County trucks out there, the big sanitary trucks. I went out to see the guy because I didn't go to the basement at that time. And I said, what are we doing? Because there was 2 trucks there. They said they were doing general cleaning. And I thought, okay, so be it. Went to the basement and sure enough I had water. Now I put personal plugs in, so I think it saved me because the water was not as dramatic as it was 8 years ago. But what I learned was 5560, 5565, 5571, 5575, and 5600, which is mine. Got that same issue again. 5571, and I won't say the name, but that's, he brought it up before. He got the majority of the damage, and it's the second time. And it's either somebody in Mahoney County, we've had the trustees there before, and it was like, okay, we'll take care of it. But this is 2 times within 8 years. And how many more times is development gonna go through this, worry about this water backing up? And it was just snow, it wasn't like a major rain. Don't know if it was the meltage, the day that it got warm up and it melted, but you're running into that situation. And you certainly don't want that in that development. Always have that fear that it's coming up.
Sir.
And they called it gray water.
It's, okay, is it stormwater or sanitary backup?
This time, that's why I used the term gray water.
That's sanitary.
When the guys came, they said it was gray water. It wasn't the fetal or the paper like it was before. This was gray water. Matter of fact, it made me wonder, because I was, like, that side, I have the ranch, one side was wet, the rest was dry. I'm thinking, where did it come from? And then realized that since I had a plug there, I stopped the majority of it from coming up like did before. So that was a term that they used. They called it gray water, whatever that
That's
means.
sanitary.
Do you recall this at all?
No, that's the term they use for like your washing
No,
machine.
no, I'm talking about his issue.
No, you want to know something, since I've been back, we haven't had any bloody comes that I'm aware of.
Yeah, the second, like I say, Mr. Love was the main one, and mine, and,
Did anybody call the sanitary?
yes, they did.
Did they come down and blow the lines out?
They did, matter of fact, as Jim mentioned, he said when they ran the pump, or whatever piece of equipment, he said it actually sucked everything out of the house. The toilets got dry, everything, so when they sucked it out. But, I'm trying to think who, Lisa, who was it? The trustee that used to be here.
Lisa Holmes?
Yeah, that's how long ago it was.
Oh, okay.
And Jim was still here.
Yeah, Jim was.
And we walked the streets talking about it. And, you know, you're talking about a few bucks that it cost you to get it fixed up. So I want to bring that to the attention of this township, and maybe you folks can help shout at Mahoney County engineers to do something.
That's why I put down Pat Genetti's
Yeah,
name. just
maybe
to-
there's a backup valve that they have wherever the engineering of the development came from.
Right.
So that's really all I wanted to share with you.
Mr. Tillich, you think?
You bet.
Anybody else on camera?
This is Mike Bowden, number 503 North Hart, Rural Forest, South Palmer. See you next time. To you, this is going to be a new issue. It concerns me being at the senior center. 5 years. It happened to somebody that I met there, and she has been severely causing me to have so many different problems. I have court orders legally now. We're going to go through those on a private session if you don't mind. This has been a trauma for me. I went through it so much already. Total harassment. My home was destroyed by some maniac over what happened at the center. I'll explain everything once you guys come back from the recess. As for now, we'll take that. I only want Jessica, Mike Doherty, and the trustees. Private meeting after we're done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not possible.
That's not possible tonight. We can make an appointment with you at a certain date and not tonight, sir.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. We'll talk to
Just
you.
hang tight after the
We'll make a
meeting.
date,
Yeah, we'll
okay?
get your number afterwards and we'll
Yeah.
set that date up.
Fine.
Alright.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
Thank you.
Anybody else on camera? Anybody off camera? Motion to recess to executive session for the following: to consider appointment, employment, discipline, and compensation of the public employees.
Second.
Mrs. Beaver?
Yes.
Mr. Peck?
Yes.
Mr. Kansas?
Yes.
in association with Austintown Local Schools and Austintown Township.